the mystery of the Shemitah. What is the Shemitah?
The Shemitah is the Hebrew word for the seventh year, the Sabbath year. Every 7 years, Israel had to rest, and it had to. What happened during the Shemitah is no farming, no selling of fruits, all that abandoned. It touches the economic realm. And on the last day of the Shemitah, the rest year, the last day, they have to release all credit, all debt. The nation's financial accounts are wiped away, and so it should be a blessing. So why?
Even rabbis today do this on the last day of that Sabbath year,
yes.
The Shemitah.
Yes. Symbolically.
They release debt.
Yes, symbolic. Yes, exactly. So how could that? What does that have to do with judgment? And here is how: when a nation like ancient Israel turns away from God, they drive Him out of their life, their schools, their culture, their economics, and they don't want to rest. They want money and gain, so they stopped doing it. They broke the Shemitah, broke all of God's laws. So what happens? The Shemitah comes back now not as a blessing but as a judgment. So what happens is that God therefore takes the people out of the land, the Babylonian exile, captivity, and the land now rests. It has its Sabbaths, its Shemitahs. For 70 years, there's no selling, all debts, everything is wiped away by force. And how long? 70 years. Why? Because there were 70 Shemitahs, or Sabbath years, that they didn't observe. So the Shemitah becomes now a sign of judgment against a nation that has driven God out of its life, that has put economics first, and also it holds the mystery of the timing of that judgment. So could we expect, could this be linked to America? The answer is amazingly yes.
So in other words, God wanted the Shemitah, the Sabbath rest, to bless His people, Israel. But if they would not follow His laws, it ended up being a judgment. And for every Shemitah they did not observe in defiance, they were dispersed.
So the Shemitah becomes now a sign of judgment, and that touches specifically a nation's economic or financial realm. So, America. When did this whole financial collapse happen? Happened in 2008 in 1 week, beginning with the fall of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, ending with Lehman Brothers' fall that launched the whole global implosion. 1 week. That same week was the anniversary week of the first shaking, or the first calamity, which was 9/11. It was the anniversary of 9/11 when all these things were happening. Not just the anniversary, but it was the 7-year mark of 9/11. So, what can we see here now? It also involved what? It involved the wiping away of the financial realm, debt, mortgages wiped away, bailouts, bankruptcies, all this, the Shemitah, the same force of the Shemitah by judgment. So this points us to something. The last day of the Shemitah was the big day when all these things are wiped out. So my question would be, during the economic collapse, was there a pinnacle day? And there was. And what was it? It was the greatest stock market point crash in the history of Wall Street up to that time. When did it happen? It happened at the end of September. When did it happen? On the Hebrew calendar, it happened on the exact day, the 29th day of Elul in Hebrew, which is the exact day when all the finances had to be wiped away. The greatest stock market crash in history.
If I'm understanding you right, because the Hebrew calendar is different than the calendar for the rest of the world, it occurred on the Shemitah. The worst stock market crash on the first Shemitah, 7 years later, then one even worse than that.